Hi, Blogging411 folks. We are here to talk about blogging for healthcare professionals today. This is a little bit off the grid of what we normally do. Usually we're talking about stuff that you can do for your personal blog, but Blogging411 has been and always will be about blogging in all ways. For a hobby, as a profession, and to advance whatever business you might have. So I am super excited about this topic. I know I'm going to learn a lot today. You are here on behalf of the North Carolina Blogger Network. I am co-founder Allison Carter, and I'm honored that you're here. And I'm going to let my co-host introduce herself right now.
Hi everybody, it's Mrs. T from Mrs. T Love Life Laughter. As you guys probably know, I'm also a regional ambassador for the NC Blogger Network, and I'm so excited to speak with Dr. Payette and find out how blogging has affected his professional life and his practice. So I can't wait to get started and learn a couple of new things today.
Yes, and we actually have Dr. Payette as part of our Blogger Network, which is awesome and wonderful, and it just goes to show that blogging can be for everybody. Even if you're a professional, Blogger Networks and blogging matter. Let me let Charles go ahead and introduce himself and tell us a little bit about where he is and what he does.
All right, hi. Yeah, so I'm Dr. Charles Payette, and I'm a family dentist practicing in Charlotte, North Carolina. Been here I've been in Charlotte for 16 and a half years, and I just passed the 15-year anniversary of opening my practice. And I got into blogging and social media, website stuff back in the end of 2008, beginning of 2009. You know, the world's economy was crashing, and our business was crashing. You know, everybody was losing their jobs, and which meant dental appointments weren't quite so important at that point for a lot of people. So I had a website. It was basically, it was there. It didn't do anything, you know, and I never got patients from it. I might have gotten one a year. And so I was like, you know, I got to do something. I needed a more effective website. And of course, with business as it was, I couldn't afford to pay anybody to do it. So I said, I guess there's only one person left, me. And fortunately, a colleague who had been doing it for a lot longer had released a web manual for dentists about the time, and I got one of the first 5 copies probably. And I dug in and you know, just as fast as I could, as hard as I could, and started going into the website and changing, you know, just everything based on what he said. And then, I guess at some point, WordPress became a more viable option than the thing I'd had, and you know, WordPress was a good platform, so dove into that. I built some other websites too. They're just kind of sitting there like neglected stepchildren at the moment, but really, I mean, once I started doing that, within 3 to 6 months, we started seeing some pretty big differences. Before I did it, I actually checked, and literally, you could not find me until around page 45 of Google. And you know, they say that the best place to hide a dead body is on page 2 of Google search ranks. I was on 45. And which meant, I got nothing. So like I said, 3 to 6 months, we started seeing some changes, and of course, you know, you start seeing those successes. You're like, hey, this is cool, and so it just kind of kept going. And then, you know, Facebook pages and Google Plus pages, and now it's kind of gotten overwhelming, and we're actually we're kind of working with some other people here in Charlotte on outsourcing some more of that. But I'm still sticking with the blogging part because I love writing. So that's kind of where I am, where I came from, how I got into it, and it's kind of why I'm here today.
I love it. And one of the things that I really love about that story is that you were self-taught, right? And you decided to learn this, which just shows that you don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars investing in courses and curriculum. You can just sit down and spend some time and get the basics under your belt and then kind of move forward. And I think that that's such a great message for people to understand. One of the things that you also said that I think it's really important for healthcare professionals and businesses in general to understand about blogging is that it helps your search engine optimization, your SEO. And like you said, yeah, it bounced you from 45 up, you know, up further on the website listing. And can you talk a little bit about that, Charles, and kind of why blogging matters for being seen?
Oh, of course. Well, there's a couple things, of course, we all that Google looks for when it comes to, you know, how to rank websites, and whether or not they're going to put you on page 1, 2, or 45. One, of course, is relevance. Are you writing about the topic that you know about? And 2 is, do you have fresh content? And that's the best part about a blog. Just the fact that I can go in at any time. That's the thing I love about WordPress too. Is it's such an easy platform. If I have a great idea in the middle of the night, I want to pop up, and if I can't sleep, I can just come up to my office, sit down, start typing. But it's very easy to add fresh content, and when you do that on a consistent basis, they obviously Google, the more topics you cover, of course, the more possible searches that people can use to find you. And I like those long tail keywords. The Charlotte dentist, that one's hard to rank for. But when you're looking for things like 6-month braces, Charlotte dentist, well, not too many people do that. Even fewer of them work hard at getting their website ranked for it. And so that's the kind of thing. It's a great procedure. People love it. People are looking for it. And so I come up real fast. So I've learned to kind of pick and choose my battles. But yeah, it's amazing when you find the things. And the hard part, of course, as professionals, I would guess this is probably not as much of an issue for a lot of bloggers. But as a professional, the hard part is we tend to be really technically oriented people. Like the things that we do, how we do it, what we use, how long it's going to take. That's not what people think about when they're going to search. It's things. One of my most popular pages is a toothache can kill you. I wrote it 4 years ago, and people like can a toothache kill you? Can an abscess kill you? It's finding how are the people thinking? What are they thinking about when they're searching, and trying to write for people, because you don't want to write for Google. That's not the point. But we want to write for people, and what are they thinking about when they're searching? So, and since that's the way Google ranks stuff, like if you answer the questions that they're searching for, you're going to come up. So it's a great way to increase your visibility. I love it.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And I did want to say congratulations on your 15-year practice anniversary. That's like an amazing achievement, especially like you said with the economy and stuff and the way things has been changing over the past couple of years. And like I said, was Facebook stalking and like surfing around your website a lot just to get prepped for today. And I noticed that on the post you did celebrating your 15 years, you have a really interesting infographic. And I know that as a blogger, a lot of us realize that images are really key when we do posts. And I'm just wondering, have you noticed when you include images like before and after pictures of patients and stuff like that, do you see that brings in a bit more traffic?
Good question. I'm not as much of an analytics kind of person. Like I said, about 1.5 years ago, we actually did outsource the redesign of the website to another company, and he also does my analytics, and he's working on an SEO campaign for me right now for certain specific things that we'd like to target. I just kind of look at overall traffic. If a certain post or page seems to be getting a lot, I look at that. I know supposedly like on Twitter and Facebook and things, those is supposed to make a much bigger difference. I always include pictures with my blog posts. And actually we're kind of in the process of going back to some of my older articles that I didn't do that so much, or I put really small ones that certainly don't translate well to social media. When it picks up the link. So we're adding photos. We're doing stuff like that. But simple answer to your question though really is I'd have to ask my webmaster. I just always add pictures, so I don't know if that's what makes one post do better than another. Good question.
Well, that's definitely a good practice to have, though, to keep the images in there. I really liked your infographic, though. It was good.
Oh, thanks.
I think that one of the things to what you've been saying that matters a lot, too, is that people are shopping for healthcare professionals, right? Like, you want to feel like you're getting good information, that you're learning something, and the majority of people, I would dare to say, I don't have any stats in front of me, go to the website and the internet first to see who they might want to use for their healthcare needs and for their dental needs and whatever sort of professional needs they have. And the website's kind of the first glimpse into who that person is or that practice or clinic is. And I feel like blogging is a good opportunity to not only show, like, hey, we have a lot of knowledge here because we're answering your questions that you're talking about right now, but it also feels like it can be a good opportunity to bring across some of your personality. And one of the things you said in the conversation was about you feel like people come in and they know you, or they say that they know you. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about that because I think that's fascinating.
I will say, I think that is even more than SEO or rankings, anything like that. I think that's the most important reason, because I mean, if you do spend some time looking at a lot of different, doctor sites or dentist sites, one of the things you'll notice is that they tend to use the same stock photos. They often have the same kind of phrases. Everybody's family and cosmetic dentistry. Okay, well, that doesn't differentiate. What does that mean? So you notice a lot of similarities, and it's usually because there are these huge companies that market to each segment, and there's the same thing in dentistry because a lot of dentists, they don't know anything about it. They hire the company, they write a check and say, here, make my website, and so they're cookie cutter, and they have the same stock images. There was one picture a couple of years ago. It's this brunette girl that she probably had to be like on couple thousand websites for dentists all over the country. It was ridiculous. So one of the things is when you come to my website, and Tiffany, I hope you notice this, is that it's very individual. I mean, I write everything, so it's in a first person. It's not, well, Dr. Payette does this, Dr. Payette does that. It's like, I did this, my team did this, here we are. So yeah, it's personal. It's and people like that. I know that's one of the things I look for. And
definitely.
So, and like I said, one of the things that I want to do to increase that this year is I want to start getting into a little bit of vlogging, because there's a video on the I think it's on the About Dr. Payette page. It's pretty old and outdated at this point, but it is the most mentioned thing about our website. When people come in to see us, they always mention that. Oh, I saw your video, and you just seem like a nice guy, and which is great as a dentist. Now, back when I was single, before I met my wife, that wasn't so good. But but yeah, it's the personal touch, and that's where I think so many healthcare providers miss out. Is you give them a chance to know you and to feel comfortable with you before they ever pick up the phone to call. And that personal relationship with a doctor, it doesn't matter. I mean, okay, maybe eye doctors, you go in once every couple of years, they check your eyes, and it's not, you don't spend time with them on a regular basis. But especially when people call us knowing that they need a lot of stuff done, they're going to be spending a lot of time in our chair sometimes, sometimes many hours, multiple days over months. And if you can feel comfortable with somebody before you walk in, and then you walk in and meet them, and they're like, oh yeah, he's really like that. It's just.
And I am super picky about my dentist, so I know that would help me.
Yes, because this person is getting really close and intimate, so like I want to know we're gonna be okay. And I definitely noticed that about your site. Like everything is very personable, and I really did get a good feel of like who you were. Even on your Facebook page. Oh my goodness, I love the post you did on Facebook where you had the hat and stuff, and you told the story about your patient who had come in, and then you took a vote like, am I the white guy looking cool, or am I the white guy trying too hard? So hilarious. And I wanted to ask you, like, what was the consensus? Did they say you were trying too hard, or did it actually turn out that you were cool?
Actually, well, like I said, on Facebook, I don't know how to do a poll on Facebook. Google Plus. It was like 60-40 saying I looked pretty good. Now,
wow, so see, you have to bring the hats back then. That's it. It's been determined.
I don't know. I'm still kind of questioning those people's judgment. My teenage daughter, I think she was the honest one. Really, it's like, really, Dad? Yeah, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
teenagers are always the voice of honesty,
Yes.
right? Teenagers
Yeah.
Trust me, you can
not.
always count on a teenager to set you straight.
One of the things I would love you to talk about a little bit and unpack for those who are trying to learn how they can blog for their business is how often do you commit to blogging?
Oh, that's a really good question, especially kind of right now. Um, I realized a week or two ago I actually I published 29 posts on the Office blog last year, which kind of surprised me. I didn't think it was that many. Um, it was very inconsistent last year. I might do 2 or 3 posts in a couple of weeks. I might go a month without it. And part of the thing too is I'm ADD. I bounce all over the place. One of my focuses for this year, I had set a tentative goal of trying to do 1 post every week. I was going to try to have a couple nights set aside for research, like an hour each research, then a couple nights writing, and then hand it off to just for some images or infographics or whatever, and then get it published. But that's not going to happen. But yeah. I mean, some of it's just I'm a husband, I'm a father, I have 2 dogs, run a business, got to stay healthy and exercise. So I'm not capable of that kind of consistency. So I'm probably going to step back about one every other week. I know I can do that, and there will probably still be some times I'll get 2 or 3. It's one of those things. If I get an idea and I can sit down, I can type 80 to 90 words a minute. So when I get going, I can rip it out really fast. But when I have something that, a topic that really takes some more time to research and create a thoughtful kind of, nuanced kind of thing to go into different details, or if I can't find any good images, or I have to create something, that'll take a while.
I'm okay with that because one of my biggest pet peeves is when people just try to publish all the time and they end up publishing bad stuff. So hold and wait.
Exactly. It's quality over quantity as far as I'm concerned. I think that's the struggle with any blogger because you want to be consistent. You want to try to keep the content flowing, but at the same time, you want it to be good content that they actually take something home with them. And like I was reading a lot of your blog posts, and I see you have a good mix between personal stories, and then you even cover like local events and stuff that's going on. So you have a good mix of it. So I think the how often you post it becomes a little less important as long as you're posting good quality when it's up there.
Yeah, and that's, of course, the hard part is, sometimes you struggle for inspiration.
Exactly.
You sit there and either that or, especially being ADD, I might have 20 topics running around in my head, and if I can't get any of them out,
Trust me,
okay.
totally know the feeling. I think I'm there right now. I have about 15 possible posts in my head, and none of them actually typed out, so I can totally relate.
There are times I will have, especially if I get a bunch of good ideas, sometimes I'll go into WordPress and I'll just create a draft post with a title for each one.
That's a good idea.
And very often, a year later, I just finally say, screw it, just delete it. I'm never going to write it that way.
It's not happening.
Happens all the time.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some tips you might have for people who are trying to come up with ideas. I know a lot of times, especially people who are trying to do blogging on sort of the content marketing side of things or to promote their business, especially within the healthcare industry, what can you talk about and how do you come up with your ideas?
Random chance. No. Just a second. Oh gosh, sometimes it's as simple as seeing a post by another dentist, or seeing a news story. There was an article a number of years ago I saw somewhere that talked about how they were using some new, like a new treatment for osteoporosis that they thought might actually work as a way to rebuild bone in patients who'd lost it due to gum disease. So that's just like, oh, that sounds like, well, people know about osteoporosis and they know about those drugs. So here's something that might help dental patients too. It might be that. I saw another dental blogger that I know posted something this morning about uh, just because you can't feel the hole in your tooth doesn't mean you have a cavity. Yeah, well, that's the kind of thing. Those are the kinds of questions that people have, and that's, I say, a lot of it comes from patients. One that I did last year was I had a mom in with her 4-year-old son, I think, and no cavities, fortunately, but I looked at his mom and I said, well, you better start planning for braces now. And she looked at me like, what do you mean? His teeth are perfectly straight, and they're all nice and lined up. And I said, well, that's exactly the problem, because grown-up teeth are bigger than baby teeth, so when they're all crowded together, well, there's no space for the big grown-up teeth to come in, so they're going to be coming in crowded. And that was just a light bulb there. Okay, that's the question that a lot of parents have. Well, oh gosh, my baby's teeth, they're all spread out. Is that a problem? No, that's great. My baby's teeth are all close together. That's bad.
Wow.
So sometimes it's little things like that. Just something comes up, or I'll see a particular instance, a case that I can document, like a cracked tooth, that well, you can't see cracks on X-rays. So, and people say, well, how do you know I've got a cracked tooth? You can't see it. Well, sometimes we do it by symptoms, and sometimes we go by signs, and sometimes by X-rays or photos. So I talk about, how do I communicate with patients? How do I know what I know if I'm looking in your mouth? When there's another popular one is, how do I know you grind your teeth when you don't believe me? Because I swear, it's like patients, you say, wow, it looks like you're grinding your teeth really badly, because they're like so worn that it's like a puzzle, piece of a puzzle fitting together. Like, no, I don't. It's like accuse them of murdering baby seals. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. It is. People get offended. I'm like, I'm sorry. I just tell you that you grind your teeth at night. No, I don't. So, well, so things like that. How do I communicate how I know what I know, so that then other people, if they're researching, they're like, teeth grinding. How do I know? If they pull it up, okay, so I can see those teeth fit together like that, but healthy teeth don't do that. So when they can see pictures, that all of a sudden they go, oh, let me look in the mirror. Oh yeah, oh, that doesn't look good.
Is there anything that's off limits for blogging? Anything that healthcare professionals should just not bring up on a blog?
Well, yeah, they always say the 3 things you should never talk about in any professional setting are, sex, religion, and politics. Those are probably 3 good ones to stay away from.
I would imagine too. Don't go posting pictures of your patients if they don't give you permission, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We have.
And obviously you can't include like names or anything specific to that patient, right? You kind of have to keep it general so that you don't have to get any type of releases or anything like that.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, sometimes there are cases that are, if we're doing a big smile makeover and we're gonna have a patient portrait. Well, usually they're fine at that point, because they know they're happy. Like, oh yeah, of course you can use my picture. Yeah, sure.
I look awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but sure. I mean, there are some people that say, oh yeah, you can use my pictures, but just don't let anybody know it's me.
Okay.
Sure. For something like that, I don't really. I mean, if I take a picture of a back tooth and I do a beautiful filling, this is what an old silver filling looks like. This is what a new pretty tooth-colored filling looks like. Well, it's not like anybody online seeing that, oh my God, that was Bob's silver filling. I know that was Bob. Yeah, I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you do have to be careful, yes. You can't violate patient privacy, and if you do, you get in really big trouble. But other than that, God.
Well, I know Tiffany was saying too, and I noticed this as well, is that you bring up local a lot, or you'll talk about local events or local things going on. How does that help, and how does that fit into your mission, and how should other healthcare professionals consider that too?
Well, that kind of goes back to, I guess, last year. I spent a lot of time in 2014 learning about Google Plus and social media. And I'd always kind of wondered why, you would see like these companies that manage social media, why they would put that kind of stuff out there, or why other offices did that. And I thought it was just about, well, putting information about dentistry there. And then I guess it just finally clicked last year that social media, and I actually think of blogging as part of that, really, is about being social. And it's not just about talking about teeth, because most people don't want to talk about teeth. But find ways to bring them in. They're like, oh, hey, he's talking about some, like, it was a dental thing, but the North Carolina Missions of Mercy, that I took part with in November, and that's a social thing. It was providing care for the needy in Charlotte, but it's also kind of dental. So it's the kind of thing, touchy feely. You want to connect with people and know that even if you're being personable about your dentistry, that's cool. Let them know that you're a real person, and we actually have some plans to do a lot more of that this year. So it's just part of being social and knowing that, sure, you gotta provide some things about dentistry, but at the same time, people get a little bit turned off if it's only about any doctor. I mean, not just dentistry.
Exactly. You definitely want to keep them their interest. I wanted to ask you too, how do you go about I know you get some new patients through your website, but how do you go about spreading the word that you have a website and you have a blog? Do you have it on your practice's business cards, or do you mention it to them when they come for a visit, like, hey, don't forget, go by the site and there's some new posts up there? Like, how do you spread the word about the site itself?
That is actually something that we're going to be working on this year. I mean, mostly right now it's kind of word of mouth. You're right. When patients, of course, we have it on our business card, and we do encourage people to like our Facebook page or Google Plus page or Twitter, whatever. So if they do that, then they'll see it that way. But this year we're going to start doing a little bit more email marketing. Just reaching out through our patient contacts, and as part of that, we'll include, just on a rotating basis, some of our old posts, and some of them need to be updated, so they'll be doing that first. But just hopefully with getting more of our existing patients. So most of it right now, traffic to the website is from new patients. I mean, of course, we do get some existing patients, but most of it's from new patients who are looking for a dentist. But that's a good thing. I mean, and yes, we need to be doing a lot more of that, is reaching out to let the people who are already coming to us, let them know that, oh, here's where you can find out more about us, without overwhelming them, but make sure that they know where to come look for if they have new questions.
I'm going to ask one more question, because I know it's a huge question that a lot of professionals have when it comes to blogging and social media, and you actually alluded to the fact that it can be overwhelming to have all these things going on. In your recommendation, and from your experience, what would you outsource and what would you keep within your own practice?
Well, I can definitely answer that because we just made some big decisions about that. We're actually, early November, we started working with Katie Barnes Harding and the B2K, your mom favorites. Because last year I hit the point where I was overwhelmed. I said, I can't do all this. And so now she's handling most of taking what's on the website and getting it out there. And I'm going to be focusing on, if I happen to see something on Facebook or Twitter or Google Plus, I'll share it. But it's not going to be like, oh my gosh, I haven't shared anything on there today. I got to find something. That was too much pressure. And then it's like, oh gosh, I didn't share anything today, and so people missed me. I couldn't do all that. So basically now my goal is to enjoy social media, just have fun. If I see something cool, share it. But otherwise, I'm going to focus on the blog. Because as much as I love social media, but getting new patients or bringing patients back just through social media, that's a lot of work. And it's the payoff isn't so great. So the blogging is really, that's what I enjoy most. I love writing. So that's where I'm going to focus. And we're working on coming up with a list of topics. We'll have an editorial calendar so we know when it's due, and And they're doing more of the images for me now, so I don't have to stress about, oh God, I don't know how to make an infographic for this, because that, yeah, images. I like now I can take like before and after pictures. I can send them off to Katie and say, here you go, here's your case, and here's my article, and then she just takes it from there. Yeah, because talking about hard things, writing good titles. I mean, it's hard thinking of good titles that will get people's attention. You don't want to do the, 10 things about dentistry. Number 7, you'll never believe what happened. Okay, we all know that.
Those are listicles.
Exactly, and everybody knows what they are, and it's corny and cheesy and just it's not professional, so I can't do that. So, but it's still got to be good. It's got to grab their attention. So that's what they do. So that's what I'm outsourcing. But I get to write it. We pick up topics and I write on them, and I have fun doing that. And then it's nice now because I can let it go from there and know that everything that needs to be done is going to be done. But it's not the same old canned stuff that a lot of doctors and dentists use.
And you all know I love my shameless plugs. We have a Blogging411 episode that we just did last week about virtual assistants and what they can do for you and how much they cost and how to find one, and that can be helpful. And of course, we also have Blogging411 episodes about editorial calendars and how to do some SEO yourself. But I think that this is a fabulous addition to our Blogging411 archive. I am so happy you're here. If you're in Charlotte, guys, go check out Dr. Charles Payette, Smiles by Payette Family Dentistry. Tiffany and I are going to be back, I think, in 2 weeks. And we got some big episodes coming up. We've got Blogging Concentrated folks. We're going to talk to them. And we also have an episode coming up after that that is going to be with NJ from A Cookie Before Dinner. If you ever have topics that you want to see Blogging411 cover, contact us through our website, ncbloggernetwork.com. And please reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much, everybody. Tiffany, Dr. Payette, thank you so much for your time today.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
You guys.